Paris.
Yeah.
Like the news.
Scotch. Just kidding. And let me know if you want me to back this up at all.
Okay, we'll take a look.
Yeah, we're trying to. That's it.
No, will we see the comments? Yeah.
There we go. So that.
How's that look framed up?
What is that?
Where?
That looks pretty good, Trent.
Got good.
I'd say.
There is a delay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there is.
Not
a slight
bad.
delay.
Framed up good?
That's a serious delay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's okay.
Wow. That's crazy.
I think we're live. Hey, guys.
Hey, Facebook. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it.
Yes.
Live from balmy Monroe, Ohio. Well, what did it hit? Like 76?
I think
today?
it got to, yeah, it was over 70.
76, yeah. Matt Stafford, hello, buddy. Stephen Ward, Matt Jordan. You claimed me last time. I thought
He's already gone.
I thought we worked that out already. Tommy Garvey, hey Tommy. Thanks for tuning in, man. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, guys.
So, thanks everybody. Episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully this one gets better each time. So we're going to have a lot of stuff to give away. We got a few things to sell. We got a couple little surprise items to sell at the end of the evening. And we're going to talk about a bunch of cool things. We're going to talk about first 12 first shots. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about creating a wax sculpt. Maybe sprinkle in a little hobby news.
Yes.
In between. But we got a lot to pack into an hour. So let's get started. So.
Let's do it. And I know we've called this creating a sculpt. But before we get into that,
Mike Menzinger.
What's up?
What's up, Mike?
Did you want to say a little something about our buddy?
Yeah, I wanted to say something about a loss that we had in the hobby. Not just the hobby, but as friends and family members. As everybody probably knows by now, we lost Bob Martinozzi. He succumbed to his battle with cancer. And I'm wearing this Luke Jedi shirt.
Nice.
This was actually a Christmas present from our buddy Jerry Gallo.
Class act.
Pretty cool. So it serves two purposes tonight. I get some use on my Christmas present, and I get to kind of honor Bob.
That's very nice.
But I just wanted to say a couple of things about Bob. Bob was a great guy. Obviously, I'm sure some of you out there that knew him a lot better than I did, or Tracey, but the interactions that I had with Bob were fantastic. I really respected and admired his passion for the hobby. Bob absolutely loved this stuff, and his collection was incredible. In fact, I was hoping I had a transaction underway with Bob when he passed. So I don't have the pieces in hand yet. I was really in hopes that I'd have them tonight so I could show them, and I'm excited to get to add something to my own Luke Jedi focused collection from Bob's collection. That means a lot to me. But Bob and I had actually traded emails because we were Luke Jedi collectors. I had sold him the proto mold piece that he had when the other one surfaced that was complete with weapons and capes. So I sold my extra to Bob.
Nice.
I don't think I met Bob in person until Anaheim Celebration 5, I think.
Yeah.
And he couldn't have been any nicer. He's just a fantastic guy, and he always had his swag ready to go at
always
all the celebrations.
Always quick to pass it out.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I met Bob was at Celebration 2, and they were giving away. I forget what the giveaway was, but it was I think it was a patch or something special. And I just remember I missed out on the giveaway, and it was fairly hard to come by. People were pretty jazzed about it.
Yeah.
And I remember meeting up with some guys in a hotel room, like we all do, and Bob didn't know me, and I'd never met him, but I just remember talking with one of the other guys how I was kind of bummed I missed out. And Bob, ended up getting 2 of the patches or whatever it was, and he just said, "Here, you can have one of my extras." And I thought, man, just super nice guy, just caring, and he certainly will be missed.
Yeah, that was Bob for sure. Mm-hmm. So anyway, let's move on.
Let's get to it.
Thank you, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
So, real quick. So, Last Jedi almost out of the theater.
Yes.
And are we done fighting over this thing?
You know, I haven't gone back to see it again. So
How many times have you seen Last Jedi?
I saw it 3 times.
You saw it 3 times?
Yeah. How many times? 2 times for you?
2.
2 was enough?
2 was enough.
Yeah.
Have you had any change of heart or anything that has swayed your opinion one way or another?
It's still basically the same. I still really don't have a lot of trouble with the way they handled Luke, which I know was a kind of a big sticking point between you and I.
Yeah.
But I have felt more, about, the way they handled Leia, the way they handled Akbar with Laura Dern's character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've become more disappointed about those things.
Good.
And
Excellent.
So yeah, you're working on me.
Good.
You're working on me.
Well, I still hate it, so.
Oh, no.
I'm just kidding. I don't hate it, but I don't like it.
Yeah, I was pretty pumped about it. And so
Anyway, Sean Limcool, hey, buddy.
hey, Sean.
Ryan Johnson murdered Luke Skywalker. You got that right, my friend. He killed him. It's despicable.
Hey, Mark and Michael.
Anyway,
So yeah,
all right.
I'm looking forward to the Han Solo movie.
Are you?
I am. I mean, I don't know.
Trav, thumbs up or thumbs down on Last Jedi?
Oh, Trav will give it a thumbs
Producer and engineer Travis gives it a thumbs up.
Love them more, I do.
up. Are you looking forward to Han Solo? Have you seen the trailer? Yeah. All right. Sure. We'll talk about that when it hits.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's give something away.
Let's start
first.
off by giving something away. Yeah.
Now, all right. So I forget to do this every time, and then Sean Limcool wins like 5 things, and
Which he's already got
Yeah.
3 or 4 of.
right, exactly.
So, yeah.
So, for the giveaways, you can only win 1. So once you win, you're out. All right.
Good rule, bro.
We want as many things as possible to get out to everybody. So we want everybody to have a good chance at getting something. So
Hi, Pete.
Sorry,
Hi, Debbie. Hi,
Sean.
Steve.
Sorry, buddy.
Hi, Matt.
Matt Erickson, hello. Mark Vanis.
Thank you all
Man.
for tuning in. Hey,
Thanks,
Ross.
guys. So the first thing we're going to give away is and you have to answer trivia, by the way. So giveaway number 1 is the what is it? What are we giving away?
Giveaway number 1 is going to be one of those items.
Oh,
let's
here
do
it is.
that. Yeah. Everyone's favorite droid. At least mine and Bill's.
Removable M C3PO in a really nice factory sealed bag. It's free.
And Vince.
All you got to do is pay shipping, and it's yours. So
Okay.
Tracey,
That's
you
our
got the
first
question.
giveaway. Here we go. First one that answers the question wins. Name the motion control camera that ILM used to film the special effects for A New Hope, the first Star Wars movie.
that was a mouthful.
And what?
Did
I get it out?
Name the motion control camera that ILM used to film the special effects for A New Hope. What was that camera called?
Hey, Kyle. Hey, Josh.
Josh Blake.
Sean.
Stop motion. No, sir.
Sean, can I still answer?
Yes, Sean Limcool, you can still answer.
Stop
of course.
motion. We're looking for a specific name.
Yes, Stephen Ward.
Steven. That's it. Dykstra Flex. Nicely done,
Well
sir.
done, Stephen Ward, my man.
Of course, named after John Dykstra, who developed the camera. And
Yep. Stephen, I'm sure you don't have one of these, so you do now. All right, buddy.
all right, thank you,
Well
Steven.
done, Stephen Ward. All right.
The Give a Show projector. Thank you, Tommy. Close second.
Close second, Tommy Garvey. All right. Hey, let's. I know you had a mail call this week. Right?
I did.
So before you show it or talk about it,
Yeah.
I want to show something I picked up.
Okay.
Recently. Well, you already know about it.
Kick it off, and then
These guys don't know.
No.
So
Let's see it.
came from an ex-Kenner person, and years ago, in my very first, when we first actually came up with the name Cantina Collectibles, this was
98.
98, 99.
Yeah.
I ran an auction in Toy Shop, and one of the things that I sold was a sealed bagged Luke Hoth first shot. Remember that?
That was it's nice.
And I think it sold for $500.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? And I think it went to Robert Levine in Florida. Mm-hmm. So I always regretted selling that piece.
Oh yeah.
And at the time, I wasn't as into prototypes as I am now, but I always wanted, another bagged first shot back. Well, lo and behold, I got this. It's a TIE fighter pilot in a Star Wars A baggie,
Very
still
nice.
sealed. Really cool. For those of you baggy people, you know that TIE Pilot never came in this bag. So when I first saw it, I knew it was something special. So anyway, I got it back. I got a first shot in a baggie back in my collection. I couldn't be happier about it.
Congratulations. Yeah,
And
it's a great piece.
I've always loved the TIE Pilot.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a cool character.
One of my favorites.
Yeah.
Nicely
So.
done.
No, this is not the one on the archive. This is brand new, Sean. So, anyway.
Congrats.
Gary claims my sadness over the Luke Harper shot.
Well, there's a lot to go. There's enough to go around. Well done.
All right. So, how about yourself?
Well, I got very fortunate this week. This is a piece that I actually owned many years ago.
Yeah.
And every so often, as you all know, expenses come up, things happen, you need to raise money. And it was a very tough decision, but I sold it back in, I think, 2009, 2010. And it was one of those things where, you know, you just decide to let it go, and then you kind of detach yourself emotionally from the piece. But as time went on, and, you know, it's funny, you see things as you collect and you think, you know, there's got to be more out there. You have no idea, you know, especially 10, 15 years ago.
We're gonna bring Steven on to do stand up next time.
Please.
We got it. Travis, can you get our Skype session set up, please?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Long story short, I sold it. I didn't think I would ever get a shot at getting it back. And then as time went on, I never really got the opportunity to pick one up until recently. First shot, undated original C-3PO. And it just, like I said, it so happened to be the original one I had. It made its way back. And, you know, I tried to get one for years, and they just don't come up that often. So
Steve Dwyer, our buddy, he's on here. He can correct us if we're wrong, but I believe 3PO is one of the top 2 toughest first 12 first shots.
I think so. Yeah, and he and Vader.
Yeah.
But I just love this example. I think it's very early. It was never sonically welded, so it comes apart. Actually, it's held together by a screw in the back. And if you take the screw out, he'll come apart and the limbs come off. And he's shot, you can tell when you take him apart, he's shot in all black. Yeah. And then there's only one other little subtle difference is the foot holes are not painted. And you can see they're kind of a different shape than a production figure. So
yeah, Steve confirms toughest next to Vader. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Steve.
it.
So I just wanted to share that.
Thanks, Mike
I've
Stafford. Good to see you, man.
3PO focus going, so it was really thrilling to add this to it.
So let's talk really quick about first 12 first shots. So a quick story. So going back to about 2001, right? 2001, roughly. There was a dealer who shall go nameless.
Yes.
He was having a bit of a tough time in the collecting circles.
Indeed.
And he turned up a collection of original first 12 hand-painted first shots.
Pretty much all of them, I believe, were hand-painted, glued.
Yeah.
Early.
Yeah. And nobody wanted them. Nobody would touch them.
Right.
And I don't remember now how we got to actually see these things, but we actually, I think he sent them to us to authenticate.
That's right. I
Is
believe
that
that's
right?
I believe that's what happened.
So we got these pieces in hand, and they were, I mean, there was no question. I mean, they were authentic.
Yeah.
There was a Stormtrooper, there was Tusken Raider, there was a
Han
Solo, there was a Luke, there was a Leia.
Yeah.
I think was there a Vader in there?
Tusken and
There was a Tusken.
I don't know if there was there might have been a Vader. There's nearly all of them.
Okay, I can't remember what else was there, but anyway, he couldn't sell them. He offered them to us for $125 a piece. We bought them.
Because
We bought them.
Yeah.
And sadly, I mean, I think most of those have been sold off over the years, but
all of mine. The 3PO was the last one I had until I
Okay.
up until I sold it back in.
Okay. Well,
2010.
the last piece that I kept from that collection was a sand person. It had the hand cut cape. It had the sharp, pointy spikes.
Yeah, beautiful piece.
It was a great piece. somebody offered me $2,500, and this has been probably 4, 5, 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking, it's crazy
Oh,
money.
yeah,
I can't keep it for that, and I sold it.
Yeah.
But
For a first shot.
so, first 12 first shots are, I mean, they're,
Fast forward now.
oh my goodness.
Well, I believe there's one available for purchase now. For the handsome price, just shy of $50,000.
For those of you that have money to burn, Brian's Toys is selling an AFA 70, I think.
70.
Han first shot, $49,999.
Plus shipping.
What a bargain.
Now, in all fairness, though, and Steve again can correct me, I believe he's familiar with the piece. It is not just a standard first shot back from the Orient.
Congratulations, Mark.
It is.
Mark just bought it.
Congrats, Mark. I believe it's what's referred to as an internal first shot. Is that
Or a bench shot.
or a bench shot, meaning that it was shot or
Yeah.
produced in the States.
It's a unique
It's a
piece.
very internal
So,
piece.
I'm curious for those of you watching, what are some of your opinions as to, we're at the point now where first 12 first shots are selling in the same range that an Empire or even maybe certain Jedi hard copies would sell
Right.
for. So I understand it's first 12. I understand that's the appeal. Is that it? I mean, what does anybody else have any thoughts on why first 12 first shots are so ridiculous right now?
Well, Graham's going to hold out for a 75, and I don't blame him one bit, Graham. That's the smart move there. I mean, it's probably going to cost you another 20 or 30,
Yeah.
but
I just can't believe it. I can't believe that we've reached the day and age where a first shot is selling for over $20,000. It
Yeah.
just blows, and they're selling.
yeah. And Steve just chimed in. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, internal first shot, and it's definitely different than the others that you have seen, and me as well. Yeah, I know that it's a special piece.
Mike Menzinger, Crazy Town. You're exactly right, Mike.
Yeah.
Mike, you're old school like me and Tracy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about how insane this is.
Yeah.
I just can't believe it, man. But yeah, Gary, you're right. It's where it all started. I don't disagree with that. There's always going to be a market for first 12 prototypes.
True.
Right?
Always.
And you're never going to get a sculpt. You're never going to get a hard copy from the first 12. So I guess the first shot's as good as it gets if you want something from Star Wars, right?
Yeah. So having said that, let's sell one. No, I'm kidding. We do want to sell something, though, right? You have something
Yeah,
to
let's
sell?
sell something.
Okay.
All right. Here we go.
What do you got over there? What's hiding over there?
All right. So, first thing for sale tonight. This is item number 1, so if you want it, just type claim 1. We're trying to streamline this and get better each time, so we make sure the right person gets the right item. So anyway, we're going to sell for $60. It's a really nice sealed Imperial Commander baggie, heat sealed. The bag is nice and clean. It's free of slits, no damage. The Kenner logo is not worn. It's a nice example. So $60 if you want it. Claim 1, and it's yours. All right.
Real quick, Brock chimed in. While not easy to come by, they are more readily available than hard copies and sculpts, and they appeal to newcomers as it's something that is feasible to get your hands on, and that is true. And also, Tommy Garvey. First shots are easy to understand, and hard copies are not as available, and that's very true. It's a good point.
But Tommy, to your point, I asked somebody. So, for example, I've got a Han Hoth hard copy back there on display, and I asked somebody that I think is pretty well plugged into the market. I said, "What do you think that piece would sell for?" And they said, $35,000. Well, I mean, that's not much more than these first shots. It's incredible.
It is. But first 12.
Kyle Rose, claim 1.
Thank you, Kyle.
Kyle, thank you, buddy.
Congrats. And Gary claimed Derek Ho. Thank you, Gary.
Who doesn't want Derek Ho?
I do.
He is sexy.
I think someone wants to buy the piano too.
The piano.
Who wants the piano?
Yeah, Graham.
Graham. Hey, I can actually play it a little bit. So
Local pickup,
if you
unfortunately.
local pickup, you come here, it's yours for free, brother.
Hey.
Because this is going to be the display room, and I need some space. So
Adam Mark's coming out.
all right.
Adam Marks.
All right.
For us who are not as knowledgeable to collecting, can you give definitions of first shot versus sculpt versus hard copies?
Okay, well,
Absolutely.
we will absolutely do that. We're actually going to try to make this a progression. We're going to start out with wax sculpts. No guarantees that we're going to get through this today. We're going to do as much as we can. So we will absolutely get to first shots, hard copies, all that sort of thing. In the meantime, I would highly recommend you go to the Star Wars Collector's Archive. There is a glossary there that has definitions of all the hobby terms. You can find examples there that I think when you see it in person, it kind of helps you better understand what step in the production process it represents. So go there for sure.
Tremendous resource. Anyone that's new to collecting.
Yep.
Many nice examples of all the stages and descriptions and a glossary of terms and things like that. But that's a nice segue into the sculpting.
Yep. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about wax.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about wax.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Well,
Sorry.
we were excited to talk about this. Actually, we just picked up, a few pieces from a former sculptor, and we had some questions ourselves about some of these pieces because we'd never seen them before, and we weren't super familiar with the sculpting process. So we decided to show a few of these and talk a little bit about them, what we've learned. Starting with,
let's start out. So I think a lot of people mistakenly think that when you hear the word sculpt, and we'll try to stick specifically to a Kenner Star Wars action figure. When you think sculpt, I think some people think they start out with a block of wax and they just kind of whittle away at this thing. And the process is actually fairly complicated. Mm-hmm. It's why I think most of us that collect prototypes love this stuff, because we appreciate the craftsmanship that was involved in making these things.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not like they do things today.
No, not when you have 3D printers and things are designed on the computer or they're scanned in digitally. This was a true art form.
Yeah.
And the sculptors, at least the ones we've met and talked to, they were very passionate about their work.
Right.
And it was a labor of love for sure.
It was. So let's talk about, in most cases, not all, and that's the other thing we do want to say. We're not professing to be authorities here. Mm-hmm. We know enough to be dangerous.
Right.
We've been doing it a while, so we have learned a lot of things over the years. Mm-hmm. But we don't claim to be authorities. If you talk to any Kenner person that was actually involved in the production process, they will tell you that there's not always a predefined process that you can follow step by step for every toy that was created.
Correct.
It doesn't exist. Are there general rules that they followed? Yes. And I think the later they got, especially when you got into the mid to late 80s, I think the process got even more refined. But so there's exceptions to every rule.
Right, but early on, the process was almost as unique as the individual.
Yeah.
And the methodology, is just however someone felt most comfortable working.
Right.
Oftentimes, that's the avenue they would choose. And there were at least one sculptor that you all know, maybe more, that sculpted in acetate. Mm-hmm. But yeah, generally speaking.
So how did they typically start? Right.
So basically, you've got the drawings, and we've seen everything from sketches, renderings, blueprints, hand-drawn blueprints,
right,
technical blueprints. So to go from there to a three-dimensional figure, they would most often start with clay.
Right. Now, we talked about this. Clay is because I initially had the question, why clay? Mm-hmm. And clay is generally easier to work with.
Indeed.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you're trying to get just a rough starting point, you're not ready to start, creating fine details and really, putting in the fine, lines and things into the sculpt.
Yeah.
Clay is a good place to start.
Indeed.
Right? So talk about that for a minute.
Well, clay is at room temperature, it's much more malleable than wax. Wax had to be heated, and when it cooled, it got very hard so that the details and things could be sculpted in, it could be handled. Clay was a very, quicker, it didn't hold, they weren't concerned with the details with the clay. They were just wanting to get the form. Now, interestingly, we did find out that oftentimes the clay rough would be laid up like the wax, in that it was done, in the case of an action figure, you would have a torso and then you would have separate limbs, legs, and inside the clay would be what's referred to as a buck.
So I'm going to show you something here. It's
an armature.
Yeah. The term buck or armature was pretty much synonymous. And this is considered a very generic armature, a very simple armature. And this is the type of armature that would have been used inside a Star Wars figure. So you'll notice a couple of things here. For this piece, where the arm holes would be are drilled out, right? So you've got room for the dowels that would go here. But this piece has an open bottom. So if you had to make a shorter figure or a taller figure, you could size it where you wanted the joints at for the legs, based on, the height of the figure, right? So inside every single clay rough, they did start out with a simple armature or a buck.
Yeah, right? And keep in mind, too, these were custom made inside Kenner, right? These were not off-the-shelf pieces.
This was I didn't know this, but that's correct. The bucks were actually made in-house. Hey, Jim Swearigen's here.
Hello, Jim. Thank you for tuning in.
Jim, if we make mistakes, please correct us.
Feel free.
Feel free. So
we're still learning.
So anyway, they lay this clay rough up. It's got the buck inside. It also has, what else?
Discs
and pins.
And pins.
Right. So here's an example of a pin and a disc, right? And so actually, in the clay, the disc would have actually been right here, in alignment with the holes here, right?
Yep.
So.
And we've got a sculpt here. I have been so fortunate enough to pick a sculpt up over the years. Yeah. Everyone's favorite unproduced droid, Kleb. So this is an original wax sculpting. Probably can't see the fine detail, but just to show you.
The camera's probably not going to pick that up. Now you'll notice that these discs.
Yeah, there's how it would go together, with a disc in the torso and in the arm with a metal pin. And this is done very precisely.
Huh. Yeah. That's such an amazing piece, man.
Oh, thank you.
Gosh. There you go. You're making me nervous.
Okay, let's put him down. We're not going to touch him anymore.
All right. Where was I going with? Oh, anyway, so by the way, I learned an interesting little fact. Early on, apparently, they were using metal discs, and the sculptors were having problems with those discs popping out. They wouldn't stay in, and so eventually I think right around early '80s, I believe, they ended up switching to plastic discs. So most later sculpts, well, you're probably never going to see one, right? But if you do, the later sculpts are all going to have the plastic discs.
Yeah, and now sometimes they would take these discs and they would notch out a groove or something, so that when the wax is laid up, it has something to hold on to. Because when they start pulling the legs and the arms off, sometimes it would pull the discs out. But,
right.
So that is essentially, that would be the clay.
Now, some of the tools, by the way, so the tools that were used to do clay work, or rough work, as they would refer to it as, were different from the tools that they would use to do really refined work in wax. Mm-hmm. So we have some examples of both types of tools. I don't know if you've got a couple of the clay tools.
Oh,
do we have? Maybe we do.
I think this might be a clay tool.
Find that. Let me see the box real quick.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, I know where it is.
Uh-huh.
So, talk amongst yourselves.
Well, so once the wax once the clay rough was approved and signed off on, that was used to then generate the wax sculpt. And at that point, they would lay the clay rough up in a mold.
Mm-hmm.
And after the mold was made,
a silicone mold,
right, off of the clay,
and it would still have the pins and the discs.
Yes,
right.
And then they would transition those elements into the wax sculpting.
Right.
So that would carry along. And then once the casts were made in wax, they would go in and start to put in the detail and the fine detail.
Right. Right.
With everything still in position.
So this is an example of what I would call a rough tool. So you probably can't see the tip very well, but it's bigger, and it's meant to do more work. It's meant to pull more of the clay out. It's not really a precision type tool. So this is an example of probably a tool that would have been used in clay work. This is one as well. They call them paddles.
As you can see, this tool's seen a lot of love.
Yeah.
There's a lot of material still on this tool. And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we not learn that most often the clay was destroyed when the silicone molds were made for the wax?
Yeah, my understanding is they would remove the buck or the armature as well as the pins and discs from the clay. So that's one reason why you just don't see clay roughs hardly at all for 3 3/4 inch.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Now we've seen a clay rough for the micro line, but there's no armature or anything, or there's no pins or discs. So
right.
Obviously, it's just a solid piece.
Solid piece, but
right.
But again, clay is very rare.
So now you have this silicone mold that is taken from the clay rough with the discs and pins still in place. But so all the while, by the way, they are checking to see where the parting lines are, and we'll talk about parting lines in just a minute. But I just want to keep that in your mind there. So, all right, go ahead.
So I think at that point, do you want to,
Tommy,
and you want to talk about some of these different tools and things that were used in the sculpting process?
Sure. Yep. Let's talk about them. So, let's talk about the waxer.
Let's talk about the waxer.
You want to do the waxer now?
Yeah.
Okay.
This belongs to Bill. This is a...
Oh, Josh, thank you. He says wire was used as an armature in the micro 4-up clay roughs. Thanks, buddy. If anybody would know, it would be Mr. Blake.
And I believe every sculptor at Kenner was given one of these. Is that right?
Yep.
That's the best part right there. Let's plug it in.
So, what I want to convey about the waxer, this is one of the primary tools of a Kenner sculptor. Now, I think there's a misconception that people think that most of the sculpting work was done with the waxer and the waxer tips through a process of removing wax from the sculpt. That's actually not true. So, but as you can see, this thing, you could set it, you could change the temperature. There's the power, of course. And these tips are removable. And I haven't yet figured out, but each tip that I found is color-coded. Like this one has a yellow tip. Somebody painted it yellow. And I suspect there's a reason for that, but I don't know what it is.
Well, we've seen numerous sizes and shapes of these tips.
Yes.
And I think they were customized.
They were customized as well. So here's the interesting thing about a waxer. It was not used to necessarily remove wax, although you could do that. It was an additive process. So when I got this waxer, it came with a piece of period wax. And if you can, I don't know if you can see it, but there's all kinds of little divots in here. And so basically what the sculptor would do is he would add to the sculpt. So he would take his heated element here, pull up a certain amount of wax, whatever he needed or she needed, and they would add it to the sculpt. So the waxer was primarily used to build and expand the sculpt. Now they did, again, like Tracey said, there are different tips that can be found, and I'm sure it just depended on what the job was and what they needed to accomplish.
Right.
That would determine what that tip looked like. Now, I was told that there was one sculptor, and it was a lady, I can't remember her name, who did almost all of her sculpts entirely with a waxer.
Yeah.
And she was incredibly talented.
Yes.
But she was absolutely the exception to the rule.
Indeed. And going back to what you said about the tips being different, one thing we learned was oftentimes these sculptors would spend as much time looking for and or making a tool that they needed for a specific reason as they would sculpting.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like there was a set group of tools, you know, even like there's certain dental tools and all that. I mean, they used whatever they needed, whatever they can get their hands on.
Yeah.
Oftentimes they would make something from something else, whatever they needed to make the, you know, the sculpting detail or whatever, they would fabricate.
Yeah.
So the tools were they just ran the gamut.
Yeah.
You know?
They did use some you know, off the shelf tools. That is true. But well, this piece here, this looks like a piece of bamboo.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I don't think that's any store bought.
This was not store bought. You can tell that it was you know, crafted to accomplish some task. And you can see there's some wax or something, some sort of material on the back of this thing. So pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
and then there's another
paddle
tool.
So some of the tools, so now we're at the point where we've got the sculpt, we've got the discs and pins in place, and they're ready to begin, you know, refining this sculpt, right? So here's a couple of tools. So for example, this piece right here is called a loop. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but
I'll hold it up closer.
On each end is a loop of different sizes. And the way this piece worked is it functioned like a cheese grater, and so they would use those loops to shave off really fine amounts of wax off that sculpt. Yeah. And this was, a loop was an integral tool.
Oh yeah,
for all sculptors. I mean, they all had loops. In fact, here's another loop, and you can see how, you know,
it's very small.
It's very small, different size loop there. I've seen some that are smaller than this. This pick here, again, you can see it looks like a dental tool to me.
That's probably a dental tool.
Dental pick.
Yeah.
You need your chompers?
Yeah, I do actually. Later, I need you to look at something.
But anyway, whatever they needed to get the job done, right? Mm-hmm. So now they begin the process of trying to refine this thing. Now, they needed to keep in mind the parting lines.
Yes.
So the parting lines were essentially how the mold. Help me out here. How would you describe it?
The parting lines.
Plus, I want to get a drink.
Yeah, go for it. The parting line is where the two halves of the mold would come together.
Yeah.
And these parting lines were laid up in the silicone, and then they would transition all the way to the steel molds, so that when they made the molds and sent them over and manufactured and plastic injection molded the pieces, and they popped the plastic out of the mold, you know, they had to have a place for the molds to separate and eject the piece without it getting hung up.
Yeah.
So it's very, very important. And I think we read somewhere that the tooling people liked a nice straight parting line,
yep,
but the sculptors preferred what they called a wandering parting line.
Yeah.
That probably had something to do with the detail,
yeah,
and how they wanted the piece to look and flow and everything.
By the way, let's pause and let's give something away.
Let's do that.
What
are we giving away? What do we have?
Number 2 is...
We need a question for this?
Yep.
Okay.
Jedi tripod laser cannon.
Oh!
Free to a good home.
Oh, that's nice.
It's very nice. The box is really clean. I'm not going to open it, but the contents are unused. It still has the insert. The bag has the little accessories, so it's brand new.
Nice.
Nice piece.
Okay, here we go, guys. The first one...
First one to answer this correctly.
And they need to say, no, they're not going to
claim. Answer the question.
You just have to give the correct answer. The first one to answer this question correctly. Question number 2. In how many languages is C-3PO fluent? That's a pretty easy one.
That's pretty appropriate.
It is.
Did you plan that?
I
It's
did.
almost
I
like
picked
you
that
planned
out.
that.
I kind of did. Yeah.
You're a genius.
Yeah. It's my love of the goldenrod.
I heard that about you. I'm sorry.
Oh, this is nice. This is some good information here, guys.
Hey, looks like Brian Mack. Brian Mack.
Wait a minute. Oh, Brian.
Brian, right?
I believe the correct answer is over 6 million.
Over 6 million. What? We just. Oh,
That would be Brock, right?
no, Bobby Sharp. Brock said 6 billion.
Oh, Brock, I'm sorry.
Brock.
Over 6 million. That looks like Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby Sharp.
Way to go, Bobby. Thank you.
Well done, Mr. Sharp.
Let's make sure we got 6 mil, over 6 billion, over 6 million. Bobby.
You got it.
Thank you, Bobby.
All right.
All right.
Well done. We're running out of time, too, so we need to sell something else.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let's sell something.
Let's sell something else.
You got a...
Let's do... okay. Hang on. Here we go.
what you got?
All right.
Oh, that's beautiful.
We have a sonic controlled land speeder.
What's the price of that bad boy?
This bad boy, if you want this, it's just type claim 2. The price is $75.
$75.
It looks like it was hardly ever played with. I was unable to get it to work, but I know some of you geniuses out there are able to take these things apart. It's perfectly complete. There's no wear. I mean, honestly, it really does look like it was unused. The battery compartment has no corrosion. There's the clicker. All these clicker labels get some of that discoloration, but this one actually isn't too terribly bad.
No, it's nice.
It's pretty nice. It's the sticker is still holding pretty firmly.
Oh, man. It's
Still
got
makes
a good click.
Yeah, powerful click. So, sonic controlled land speeder, $75, complete with clicker. Claim 2 if you want it.
Claim 2. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. All right.
Okay.
Where were we?
Parting lines.
Oh, yeah, parting lines. Okay.
Very important.
So, parting lines to determine how the halves of the mold were going to look. The way they accomplished this was they used something called a V-block. Okay? And basically what a V-block does is it holds a dowel or a rod perfectly horizontal or vertical, depending on how you've got it hooked. So basically, you could have a pin inside the V-block, and there was a clamp that would come down and hold it. It basically functioned like a vise. So what they would do is they would take the piece that they were working on, they would lock it into the V-block, and then they used a piece called the lead. And what it was simply a piece of graphite, and they would do constant contact to the sculpt, and they would essentially trace around the sculpt, and where it touched the sculpt is where the graphite would mark the parting lines. And so, like Tracey alluded to earlier, the goal was to have a nice, flat, clean parting line.
Yes.
What they didn't want were dashed lines,
Right.
or wonky lines, but dashed lines indicated there were undercuts there somewhere.
That is correct. And that would
Tell them what an undercut is.
An undercut is something that actually would cut into the mold cavity, and it would not allow the piece to pop freely.
Right.
And would cause a lot of trouble.
Right.
And so that's something that definitely wanted to avoid. So in looking at a legitimate, going back to the parting line, in looking at a legitimate wax sculpt, you should see a parting line in pencil, graphite. If you see a line in the material or a raised line, typically that means that it was cast. And,
Yes.
and if the parting line is part of the sculpt or part of the wax and was not removed, then
Maybe you can show them the club there. So
Yeah.
if you take a look at the club here, you can see, at least on his arms, for example, where the parting line is.
yeah, I don't know if you can see, there's pencil drawn, and there's no raised line, but it's a drawn-on line on his arm there.
Right.
And that, again, that would indicate where, I don't know if you can see that or not.
You can see it on his leg there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would indicate precisely where the two halves of the molds would come together.
So a little interesting piece of hobby history, I guess, infamous hobby.
Uh-oh.
I'm not going to go. I won't tell too much, but there have been fake sculpts surfaced,
Sadly.
right? Sadly.
Yeah.
And one of the telltale signs was that the parting line, rather than just being the result of touching the graphite very gently and leaving a mark, almost had the appearance of somebody taking a pencil and drawing them on, which would leave a sort of a semi-groove
Right.
into the wax. That should never happen. So
Yeah, and a couple of other problems that this piece had, which, there are multiple things to look for, but one of the big things was the size. And real quickly, if we
Yes.
could touch on that.
yeah,
An original wax sculpting should be larger than the production plastic counterpart, because everything was driven by the size of the final product. So if they wanted the size of the final product to be a certain size,
right.
they actually sculpted up a little larger because the plastic shrinks, and actually the limbs shrink at a different rate than the torso.
Right.
So this was a very complicated mathematical process. I think the limbs, the legs and the arms shrunk at a rate of 2%.
2%.
And then they were made of plastic.
Like a vinyl plastic.
Like a vinyl plastic.
Yep.
And then the torsos, they had to be more durable. They were made of, is it PVC?
Like an ABS type.
ABS
plastic.
type plastic. And I think the shrink rate, those hardly shrunk. It was
Right.
negligible.
Right.
But so if you look at these two pieces, you'll see that, I don't know if you can tell it or not, but the wax sculpting is slightly larger. And if you stood them up side by side, you could see that it was taller.
Right. One other tool to show here. This is a really cool piece. I'll let you talk about it since it's yours. But
Okay, yeah, I had never seen anything like this before. I was lucky enough to pick this piece up. It's fully adjustable. This is called a surface gauge. And I think, like a lot of these tools and things that the sculptors used, they would be used for multiple things, whatever they needed. Now, this in particular, I think, was mostly used to either etch in fine detail at a very precise location all the way around a piece. And I think it was also used to make sure proportions were correct with any given piece, because, oftentimes these sculpts are symmetrical.
mm-hmm.
So they needed things to line up. They wanted things to visually line up. So, this would have been used around a piece to set a particular height
right.
and position, and then position it all the way around. Or you could bring it down low here and take a measurement, maybe at the top of something, a top of a boot or something, I don't know, and then slide it around the piece just to make sure you were at a constant position. So,
Yeah.
and there were
And
various.
you could etch. You could also
forms.
etch the wax with this too.
Yeah, if you needed a line
So
or
if you-
something.
If you wanted a line that was perfectly horizontal, you could essentially pick which end you needed, right? If you needed it up high or low, if you wanted it for the like a boot or something.
Yeah.
But basically, this base is really heavy, so you would just simply move it carefully around the edge of the sculpt, and it would cut that perfect line in. So, anyway,
Okay, so what have we done?
that club is getting closer to the edge.
Club's going home soon, Tommy.
All right.
Never to be taken out again. No. Okay.
All right.
So, again, as far as sculpting.
Hey, Tim Jolly, how are you, my friend?
Hey, Tim.
Thanks for tuning in, bud.
The process was it was all over the board as far as what they used to work with and how they worked.
Gary's
What have
willing
we done?
Gary's willing to give us his firstborn for that surface gauge.
Gary. Oh. Boy or girl? No.
What next? Do we give something away?
Let's give something away.
All right.
We got
a trivia question.
Here we go. Giveaway.
Should we tell them what we're giving them?
Yeah, this is giveaway number 3.
Oh, who got the?
The first one?
Yeah, no, the second one though.
Bobby Sharp?
Oh, Bobby Sharp. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Oh, it's a. Sorry,
That's all right.
it's a sealed Emperor mailer. There you go.
Now, this is probably easy, so don't overthink it. Anyway, sealed Emperor mailer. First one to correctly answer question number 3. Who was the original commander of the Death Star. Obviously from A New Hope. So, who was that individual, the original commander of the first Death Star? First Death Star? No, A New Hope Death Star. I don't know. They're all out of order. Who knows, right? We got Death Stars all over the place.
Adam Marks, I believe. Tarkin.
Adam Marks, thank you.
Nicely
That is
done,
it.
Adam.
Grand Moff Tarkin. The
Nicely
original-
done, my friend. All right. Adam Marks. Thanks, buddy. So the last giveaway, we're not doing it yet, but
Giveaway.
We're giving stuff away here.
Is a Admiral Akbar mailer. This is a really nice piece.
That is a nice piece.
Yeah, unaddressed. It's got. We'll pull the contents out.
Yeah.
There's the character bio
Very nice.
and a nice crisp baggie. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And
we got a tough. It's a Kenner related piece of trivia too. So,
And I see it's labelless.
it's labelless.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's coming up.
Okay.
What do we got left?
Well, I think we're getting a little short on time. We're approaching the 10-minute mark. How about we sell a couple of these?
Okay. Big surprise.
Yeah.
We've actually got some extra tools that we're going to make available. Some of the tools are, they do similar functions. So, I kept some for my collection. Tracey kept some for his. We've got extras that we don't need. We don't need everything. So,
Right.
So we're gonna sell a set of tools here. Why don't you show them what's
Let's
in
put
that
a quick
set?
set together. Let's do
got a
this.
set there?
Let's do a...
Was this in there too?
That was not.
That was not okay.
I don't believe so. Okay, guys. We're going to do four. We're going to do a set of four
Now-
original.
I'll just say this because I know there's a lot of people that are looking for tools. So we're going to try to make sure the right person gets it. We're not making them do anything special, right? Just claim tools. Claim.
Let's just throw out a price,
So
and then we'll just say
okay,
claim tools.
all right. So you get these four tools.
So basically, we've got
You get a clay paddle.
paddle, small loop, small and a larger loop,
Double-ended loop.
and then the dental hook tool.
Yeah.
All original from a former Kenner sculptor.
Price is $200.
$200 first to claim the tools gets the tools.
All right.
All right.
Okay, guys.
You want to give away one, or you want to sell one?
Will
more?
Mallon claims tools.
Thank you, Will.
Will, thank you, my friend. You just live right in my backyard, so we'll hook up. And,
Eric, teeth cleaner, nice. Yes, it does double as a tooth cleaner. So
Thanks, Will. Appreciate it, man.
yes.
All right. All right. What's next?
How about a tip?
Are we gonna really sell this
You
thing?
want to sell a tip?
You don't need a tip. Are you sure you got enough?
I got a tip.
Okay.
Sell a tip.
All right. Let's sell it. Well, if you've got a waxer, and a lot of waxers turn up tipless. So if you don't have one of these, your waxer is not complete. Like we talked about, the waxer is probably the most significant tool that the sculptors used. So we do have an extra one here. What were we asking for this? If you want, if the price is
$250.
$250.
$250 for the tip.
$250 if you need it. First person to claim it, it's yours. So,
Mark,
yes,
you're a
Mark.
bad boy. All right.
All right. Anybody needs a tip, just let us know.
Okay. I think
Thanks for clearing that up, Rob. Mark's a little confused. All right, Gary. We can't tell you right now. We'll talk about it later. All right.
okay. You want to do the final giveaway and then
Yeah.
wrap this up?
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Where's it at? Oh, here we go. Yeah. Well, we got one more thing to sell.
What do you want to sell?
We got one more set.
Oh yeah.
Did you forget about it? All right. All right. All right, let's do the giveaway. Then we'll do the.
Let's do the giveaway.
All right.
We have multiple people claim the tool set. Do you want to just?
No, because these are different. So,
That's true.
All right. Akbar mailer, free to a good home. You pay shipping. It's yours.
How are we doing that?
Just got to answer a question.
Oh, you better ask this one.
All right.
You came up with this one, so I'm gonna let you ask this one. It's a good one.
Engineer Travis, are you ready?
Yeah.
Thanks. All right, here we go. For the Akbar mailer, name the 3 founders of Kenner. I need all 3 names. All
Get
3
that set
names.
together real quick.
Yes, thanks. Come on, boys. I know somebody knows this.
Yes.
Mark Vanis, Albert, Philip, and Joseph L. Steiner.
Is that it?
Wow.
Man.
Well done, Mark. It's yours, baby.
Nicely done, Mark. Thank
Yep.
you.
All right. Akbar. All right.
That's it.
One last thing to sell. We were able to put together 2 sets of tools, so we have 1 more to sell.
Yep. Same deal.
Same deal.
$200. We got 1 more set of tools. First one to claim tool set number 2. You get a. This looks like it might have been more of the clay tool.
Kyle Rose claims tools too.
Alrighty. There you go, Kyle.
Kyle, thank you, brother.
Get a nice dental tool, paddle,
You got a really nice
nice
wooden
wooden
loop there too.
pointer, and then a nice size loop. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Kyle.
Kyle, thank you, buddy. Awesome. All right, so we still have the sonic controlled land speeder available if anybody needs it. We still have the tip if anybody needs it.
And the guys, if you could, just shoot us a quick message and let us know your zip code,
Yep.
address, and we'll get you the shipping prices on the giveaways.
Yep.
And then we'll just settle up on those. And also the guys that purchased.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Guys, thank you. We really
Yes.
appreciate your support. We had Travis. We had the numbers look tonight.
Like 53.
All right, that's awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, all
Guys,
of you guys for tuning in.
we're humbled and amazed at the support. Thank you guys so much.
Indeed.
We really appreciate it. Keep those suggestions and comments coming to us.
Yes.
We really do take those to heart. We appreciate them. If you want to tell me I'm ugly or whatever, that's I can't fix that. But if I'm not telling you some things you'd like to know, whatever. Give us whatever feedback you've got. We appreciate it.
Indeed. Thank you so much. And next time we will talk about first shots. We'll talk about transitioning.
We're going to transition. So the next episode we'll transition from wax to hard copies.
There you go.
So
Sounds good. So please join us, and we'll post it and let you guys know. But thanks for joining in.
yep. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys.
Have a
See
good
ya.
night. See ya.